YouTube, how's it going? So I get a lot of questions since I started riding again. What is the best beginner bike? There are a whole bunch of different factors that take into it. So let's get it started. Factor one, the style of bike that you want. Do you want a cruiser or do you want a sports bike? There are also, cafe racers and stuff like that I don't have here to show you guys. See, I don't believe in just there's a one style beginner bike for anybody. If you're a street squid, you're gonna choose something like this, or better, you're gonna choose like a 600, 750, 1000, whatever it is. For somebody that just wants to commute around town, you're gonna choose a cruiser or a cafe racer, depending if you're, a little bit of a retro style guy or not. Don't get me wrong, you can be cruising on a little race rocket like this. I call it race rockets. I don't know what you guys call them. I call them race rockets. I am one of those believers that, you ride a slow bike fast instead of fast bike slow. I live in the Keys where the speed limit is only 45. I don't think you go anywhere over 50 except for a couple miles. So a bike like this would be perfect for it. But there's the other things. Thing number one is comfort over style. I feel comfortable on this. You can feel comfortable on that. But this is where I feel comfortable. What I tell a lot of people is look at your budget. Whatever your budget is what you should go after. If you could find a decent bike like this that's your style and it's cheaper, go for it. If you could find a bike like this, which is absolutely cheap, then go for that. But with bikes like this, you have to work on them. I'm not saying wrenching on your bike is a bad thing, because it makes you more in tune with your bike and what you have done to it and what you know is fixed. Whatever you do not finance your first bike, because once you start dropping it and stuff like that, it's going to hurt your pockets a lot more and you're going to feel the money a lot more when you drop it. The other thing I want to say about your budget is you got to take in the factor of if you have to repair the bike. A bike like this, you have to repair. It is a good running bike, but there's still things wrong with it. Lights don't work. This is looking like trash. Rust is everywhere. Everywhere. It has a hard time starting. A bike like this that cost a couple thousand, it is almost flawless. There's nothing wrong with it. Do I recommend going with a bike like this over a bike like this? Yes, the bike is running, but stay in your budget. If you could get a $200 bike and only have to put $1,000 into it, then go with that instead of, an $8,000 bike. But if you have the $8,000 and you just want to get ready and ride, go for an $8,000 bike instead of something like this that you have to wrench on. There are other little things that have to do with budgets: tires, chains, belts, lights, LED versus whatever these are come into play. A tire like this is probably going to cost me more than a tire like that. I don't know. I haven't had to change out these tires yet. I will in the future because I want to fix that bike. The brake pads for this bike is probably more expensive than this bike. Who knows? I haven't changed them out yet, so I won't know until it gets there. These are factors that you have to include into your budget. So what I'm saying is stick with your budget. For all my shorter riders, I recommend cruisers if that's your style. On a cruiser, you could firmly plant your feet on both sides and not have to tippy toe. This is what I mean by tippy toeing. I am on the shorter side of riding. And this is what I mean about riding with comfort. On a sports bike, you're more in a tucked position. On a cruiser, you're more of in a comfortable, relaxed position. I get a lot of people ask me, do you think a 600, 1000 is a good starter bike? I say whatever makes you happy. I started on a 600. This is a 650 now. It's a little bit slower, but I started on a 600. I wanted something to grow into, and I knew I had enough restraint from stopping me from doing dumb things. The same dumb things that you could do on here, you could do on here. Riding fast, splitting lanes, doing all the dumb stuff. All the squid things. The 600 on here is going to be different than a 600 on here. These are gonna rev out. These are more meant for racing. This is more meant for cruising. This is things I'm just now finding out. My buddy has a 1200 Harley. I'm not 100% sure. He has a 1200. We were talking about it riding, and I have this, and he couldn't keep up with me. His bike is also 600 and something pounds. This bike is 400 pounds, 450 I think it says, or 445. That is like 3. So light bikes are easier to control when you're at a light, if you have to make an emergency stop and things like that. That's another factor to include. If you're one of those guys that just want to stun out a bike, you can do it on both. They do sell parts to stun out both bikes. Not this one, but a cruiser. Now, if you're looking at all this and go, he doesn't know what he's talking about, I don't. It all depends on you. So whatever you want to do is what you're going to do. I can't stop you from doing it. Here, this is just my recommendations. I went with the more expensive, more uncomfortable bike than this one. You know, this one's running. I could do stuff with it. I have the frame here that I could build. I went with something that was ready to ride and ready to go. I also ride my bike almost every day of the week, so I wanted something more reliable and something to fix. I recommend doing both worlds. Get yourself a bike ready to ride and a bike that's ready to fix. Sorry, a bike that needs to be fixed. And for all my bigger guys out there that don't think they can fit on a crotch rocket, try it. You will be surprised. You look a little funny, feels a little bit more uncomfortable, but you get used to it. Your body starts knowing where it needs to sit while you're riding on a little race rocket. If you feel comfortable on these guys, again, get one of these. My bigger guys, if you want to get one of them, try it. You're not stuck on just these. You're not stuck on just cruisers. You're not stuck on cafe racers. You're not stuck on those long gold wings or whatever they are, whatever you want to call them, type of style of bikes. You can work on these. And for all my big guys, try sitting on a Honda Grom. It's so much fun. We big, but it's still a fun little ride. The one thing I recommend to everybody at least do before they start riding, start looking at gear. Go to like a cycle center and try things on. The last thing I do recommend for anybody is go sit on bikes. See what you feel comfortable with. If you have your driver's license, most places will let you test ride your bike. So if you want to hop on something like this or something like this, you could at least try and see what feels more comfortable to you. Now, with all that being said, I want to say thank you guys. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. It really does mean a lot to us. And keep following this YouTube channel and watch us grow. Deuces. Watch, I look bad, I'm jugging. Dissect your hand if your hand am I putting, put 2 in your man if your man keep a look.